श्री गणेशाय नमः। ॐ श्री सरस्वत्यै नमः। ॐ श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। ॐ सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानामालयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करम्। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्। ॐ श्री सद्गुरुभ्यो नमः। ध्यायामि चिन्मयानन्दं गुरुदेवं महामतिं प्रेमपूर्णं क्रियाशीलं सदा लोकहिते रतं कृपालुं सुन्दराकारं समर्थं सत्यदर्शिनं वाचा तत्त्वप्रकाशिन्या शोकमोहविनाशिनम्। ॐ श्री चिन्मय सद्गुरवे नमः। हरि ओम। A very warm welcome to this Yajna on Facebook. A topic which we are choosing, simple to follow, deep in its essence, and very effective for gaining the optimum and the result. When we thought about this topic, the first question came, Hanuman Chalisa, because the word Chalisa has been always identified with Hanumanji. We will take Hanumanji's blessings also and continue this topic, Success Chalisa. Going directly in thinking about the topic, what is the success we are talking about? A word which is very highly used everywhere, but honestly, if my thinking is correct, 95% of us would not know what is success. What is our understanding of success? Success is an accomplishment of any activity. In any field of activity, what has been earmarked as the goal, when I reach the goal, when I accomplish the goal, I claim it to be a success. Probably at this juncture, we have all of us at home, staying at home now, quarantine, and the kitchen is very active. When the kitchen is very active, whoever cooks, individually or collectively. They define something to be cooked today, and when they gain or when they actually cook and get that particular taste, for example, then they say, I succeeded. In any field of activity, let us suppose I am able to achieve the target given by my boss. I claim it to be a success. Thus we find success is accomplishment of the said goal. A little more deeper. When it comes to the objective world, success is with reference to a goal defined. And this goal is always an objective goal. And you will find the moment I achieve that goal, that accomplishment is not complete in its nature, and that moment I find there is something more to achieve, something more to gain, something further to move on. And that which was a goal for a particular period of time is no more the goal having achieved, there is another goal which is set. Once you achieve that goal, another goal is set. The moment I achieve that particular goal, let us say I have nothing more to gain, nothing more to achieve, then we may say that it is the ultimate goal. Now we see in our life, nothing in fact gives us that particular feeling, that particular sense of accomplishment which says this is it, nothing more to be gained. I may gain the PhD in several subjects. I may gain the position which is the highest, maybe the president of a big country. Or I may have a very big balance. Still that balance appears to be limited in its nature, and therefore there is always something to gain more, always to achieve more, always to look forward, which technically makes us understand that however higher a goal which I may set, that cannot become the ultimate goal, because the mind for what it is wants more. If this is the case, then does it mean that there is nothing called success at all? It is not so. Reason: there has to be something gaining which nothing more needs to be gained. As we find such a statement in the Upanishads, for example, the student asks the teacher, Kasminnu bhagavo vijñāte yena sarvamidam vijñātam bhavati. Which is that gaining which nothing remains to be known, nothing gains to be known. One is in terms of knowing, but the other is in terms of accomplishment. If this is the case, then what is it that gaining which there is nothing more to be gained, and that alone becomes the true success in a human life? The rest are all objective successes. That there are plenty. Many have achieved it. They are achieving also, and they are guiding the next generation to achieve the same goals. That continues, never ending. But in a human being's life, the true success is when I gain that which is the ultimate, where that nothing more needs to be gained. And what is that ultimate goal? That ultimate goal is that sense of quietude. An accomplishment which does not kindle my mind, which does not motivate my mind, which does not provoke my mind to again gain more, to again look for something. That is a sense of completeness is success. This sense of completeness in itself, we should not mistake it to be the laziness which says, enough. But no, that is not completeness. Completeness means I am completeness itself, which is very beautifully indicated in the mantra, Purnamadav Purnamidam. I am Purnam. I am that completeness itself. Therefore, there is nothing more to be achieved. There is nothing more to be gained. Nothing more to be looked forward to. In the objective world, success is very subjective, very, very relative. And therefore, each and every individual has his or her own success, which varies from person to person. There is a differentiation in the concept called success. What is success in me, for me, cannot be the success for the other person. For her or him, the success is different. And very interestingly, though no two successes can be the same wherever in this globe, because my understanding of success is different from every other individual in this globe. But if there is one success which is common, which is the same for every Jiva Rashi, and that success is that ultimate success which does not kindle me, which does not provoke me, instigate me for going any further. This ultimate success is the same for every individual, and that is accomplishment of the sense of completeness. That alone is the true success. Now one may wonder, Swamiji, in the advertisement you had given 40 tips to success in any field of activity. How can I become successful in my field of activity listening to you? It is possible. How? When we go step by step, this Sadhana Panchakam, which is a text which is being taken, you will find it gives you two different way of looking at it. One is from the standpoint of the spiritual accomplishment, and the other from the standpoint of material accomplishment. In the spiritual accomplishment, this sense of completeness is the goal. In the material accomplishment, there is no particular goal, because that goal leads to another goal, and that goal again leads to another goal, and this becomes a wild goose chase. There is no end. But the joy here is both are achievable. Both are achievable. both secular and sacred, if I can use political language, or if I may use the spiritual language, both spiritual success is possible and material success are also possible. And both have got a beautiful way of working towards, and that how can I work towards it to gain both these successes is what we will discuss in these series of sessions. Chalisa. Chalisa means 40. That is why Hanuman Chalisa, which has got 40 shlokas. And here also in Sadhana Panchakam, there are 40 instructions given by Acharya Shankara, the great exponent of the Advaita philosophy. Panchakam means 5. Sadhana Panchakam has got 5 shlokas. Each shloka has got 8 instructions, and therefore 8 into 5, 40, therefore Chalisa. 40 instructions towards success. Now we will deal this Sadhana Panchakam in 2 levels. Primarily, of course, the spiritual level, and in between we will have a glimpse of the material success also. Coming to the text, Sadhana Panchakam. As I said, Panchakam means a group of 5 shlokas put together is Panchakam. Anything 5 put together is Panchakam. Sadhana Panchakam has got 4 names. One is, they say, Sadhana Panchakam or Sadhana Panchakam. Both are acceptable. Sadhana Panchakam, when you say, it is one single word, it's a compound. And Sadhana Panchakam is Sadhana and Panchakam separated. It has got 4 names, as I said. One is Sadhana Panchakam. Second is Sopana Panchakam. Third one is called Upadesha Panchakam, and the fourth one is Advaita Panchakam. There are 4 names. A group of 5 shlokas. One, it talks about the sadhana. Now what is the sadhana? When we say sadhana, people think of it in a very, very different ways. Sadhana means self-effort. Nothing is achievable without effort. Effort alone can lead one to success. And without effort, no achievement is possible. Pujya Gurudev Swami Chinmayanandaji gives us a very beautiful example. He says, a small piece of iron which is probably thrown on the ground has no value. But the same iron piece, when it is taken, filed properly, put a handle to it, it becomes a knife. So material plus human effort can give a value to that same material. A small iron piece which cannot be used for anything by itself, when a self-effort is added to it, the same iron piece becomes a valuable, a knife with which we can do so many activities. Similarly, this effort, self-effort in knowing ourselves or knowing the objective world can definitely produce valuable result. Therefore, what is sadhana? Sadhana is nothing but self-effort. Panchakam, as I said, 5 shlokas. Efforts to accomplish our goal. Because one should know what is the effort being put in for. Self-effort towards a goal is sadhana in technical Sanskrita term. So sadhana panchakam. The second one is called Sopana Panchakam. Sopana means a flight of steps, which means steps towards success. Here in this particular text, there are 40 steps climbing which we will reach the pinnacle of success. Sopana, steps. The third one I said, Upadesha Panchakam. What is Upadesha? Upadesha means instructions. Upadesha, in the common term, they use it very, very casually. Upadesh mat karo. Don't give me Upadesha. It is not that. Upadesha here means clear-cut instructions following which one can reach the goal. Therefore, Upadesha Panchakam. And the fourth one is called Advaita Panchakam. Advaita Panchakam meaning that 5 shlokas containing 40 instructions can give us the knowledge of the Advaita Tattva. Following these instructions, one can gain the knowledge of Advaita Tattva. Therefore, Advaita Panchakam. Thus we find Sadhana Panchakam, Sopana Panchakam, Upadesha Panchakam and Advaita Panchakam. All the 4 names given to these wonderful instructions for us to be a successful person in this life. Now see, every sadhana has got 3 very important things. One is, the first one, sadhakaha. Sadhakaha, seeker. 2, sadhyam. Sadhyam is what? The goal which is to be achieved. And sadhana, the self-effort. Self-effort by the seeker to reach the goal. Therefore, probably we may say, sadhakaha sadhanena sadhyam. He reaches the sadhyam. Praptavan, we may say. And the one who has gained the sadhyam, the success, the one who has accomplished the goal, we may call him as Siddhaha. Siddhaha, the one who is an accomplished person. Therefore, Sadhakaha sadhanena sadhyam prapya siddhaha bhavati. This is how we may put it in one sentence. Sadhakaha sadhanena sadhyam prapya siddhaha bhavati. All our efforts in this life, in whichever field it may be, is only to gain accomplish that goal by which I become a happy person. Actually speaking, what? Happy person asking nothing, seeking nothing, wanting nothing, demanding nothing. I become a man of completely self-contented. Nothing more to achieve, nothing more to gain. This is actually called the spiritual success, the inner success. And self-contentment will come only when I come to understand my own true nature, which the Shastra call it as Atman, true self, reality, God. And what is our understanding? Our understanding is Bhagavan, God, reality, truth are all somewhere high above in the heavens. I am an individual living in one corner, trying to gain, trying to live this life, demanding, acquiring, possessing, engaging, embracing, indulging in every field of activity possible to bring that sense of contentment. To gain this sense of contentment is our ways of work from the womb to the tomb. We have been seeking, we have been searching, we have been working, we have been slogging, toiling, sweating. Only for what? Only to gain that goal of self-contentment. This self-contentment is not possible, never possible, unless we come to understand our own true nature, which is Atma Tattva. To gain this knowledge is the whole gamut of Shastras, which guides us, gives us the guidance for us to reach. Where is it? Where am I to go? Nowhere other than me, myself. I have to take a U-turn from going outside. Take a U-turn, as Gurudev would put it, go within, seek within. It is very much me, myself. Once I gain that itself becomes an inspiration for me to succeed anything in this world outside. The objective world will no more be a task. It becomes so easy to achieve anything in this world outside. Therefore, 40 instructions is given. 1, to achieve the final goal of human life, which is knowing our true nature, and 2, which is also important for gaining the objective success. We will see, time and again we will refer to both. While putting in our effort, there are 2 things very important. One is called diagnosis. This you might have heard very much, especially with reference to the medical field. Diagnosis of the problem, of the issue. And second one is accomplishment. Now see, if I have a disease, I must know what is a disease. Without knowing what is a disease, how can I treat myself? Let us suppose if there is a doctor, the moment you go and say, I have got a stomach pain, and without asking you any further question, he writes some prescription, gives you take this, it will be alright. For God's sake, please don't take. Why? The doctor is not fit to be a doctor. A true doctor is one who asks you questions. From when did the stomach pain start? What did you eat prior to that? What's the last thing you have eaten? How much did you eat? Where did you get it from? Have you had these eatables before? At that time, did you have these problems? He will start asking questions, and a complete series of diagnosis is done to understand what is the cause of the problem. If I don't know the cause of the problem, to give a treatment is very dangerous. Similarly, in life also, a diagnosis is required for us to understand ourselves and then give us the right direction. And once the right direction is given, with the clarity of what exactly I want, what is it that I am looking forward to, what is it I want to achieve, I must know myself very clearly. Very often we find parents guiding the children. You have to become a doctor, you have to become an engineer, you study this, I could not do this. All these are all very common features which we see in the world. But the diagnosis here which is required is, what is it that the child is interested in? When we understand what is it that the child is interested in, then giving the child the knowledge in that field will make the child more inspired. And the child will be able to achieve much better than what you think you want the child to achieve. Therefore, diagnosis is very, very, very important. Going further, the Vedanta Shastra has given a very, very beautiful scheme of study. What do I say? A scheme of study? A study through which, a way through which one can not only know what is required, at the same time one can achieve that which is the supreme. Both are possible. In the grand design given by the Vedas, in the fantastic scheme given by the Vedas, the whole thing is divided into two very important aspects. And these two, when we live honestly to its fullest sense, you will find one can achieve the success both in spiritual field and in the material field. These two things which are very important are called Varna and Ashrama Dharmaha. Dharmaha meaning what? In fact, there is no right translation in English. Closest would be righteousness, etc. Here in this context, Dharmaha is a life which is based on Varna and two Ashrama. We may also call it as Varna Vyavastha and Ashrama Vyavastha. Very beautiful, wonderful scheme prescribed by the Vedas. Normally, when we listen to these two words, many people try to, say, oh, these are all not possible. We cannot understand. It is so simple. Very, very simple. Varna Vyavastha is actually divided into four categories. Varna is at the society level. Ashrama is at the individual level. Now we will first take up Varna and we will also take up Ashrama before getting into the text. Please note, getting into the text is very easy, but if you understand these two very well, the understanding of the text becomes very, very easy. Therefore, coming into the four groups, Varna, to name them, which is very well known, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra. We might have heard the shloka from the Gita. Chaturvarnyam maya srishtam guna karma vibhagashaha. Chaturvarnyam, four varna is given according to guna and karma. Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra. This is guna and karma. One is the vocation, the field of activity, and the role one plays in the society. It becomes his contribution in the society for the development of the society at large as a whole. Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, when it is said, it has taken a very wrong shape of caste system. Popularly it is called as caste system, which is not the case. If only we can understand clearly these four categories, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra, we will find the four have got independent role to play. Independent role to play in the society according to their swadharma. Now see, the moment we say Brahmana, Brahmana is not, as if I can quote Pujya Gurudev Swami Chinmayananji, Brahmana is not the cross-belted variety, he would say. Is not just a person who is wearing a upavita. No. Brahmana is one who has the capacity to learn the Vedas, understand the Vedas, appreciate them, assimilate them, abide in them and teach them to the next generation. By which he not only lives that particular way the Vedas have told, he is also able to communicate that knowledge to the further generation and lead them, direct them, guide them into the life of Swadharma Paripalanam. Such a person who is knowledgeable and who is able to communicate the knowledge to the others is called a Brahmana. The one who is able to follow the teaching. He is very much required because in the society, when the society is going astray, when the society is not able to cope up with the way of life which is happening, he is able to guide the society, put them in the right track and make them walk the path towards the goal. While doing this, we also require another section of a society which are called Kshatriyas. Kshatriyas means warriors, protectors. The protectors are required because after all we are dealing with our own mind. Mind definitely is moving in the direction of acquiring and possessing. Therefore, when it comes to gaining, sometimes we will find the mind is ready to compromise to whatever extent to acquire, to possess, to accumulate. And it is not a very difficult task for me to tell you how people behave in this world outside just for the sake of possessing. To protect the society, its interests, and from people not going astray, there definitely is a requirement for people to protect themselves. There is a requirement of people, and these people who protect them are called Kshatriyas. Their job is to protect. We also need commerce. We also need the trade sector functioning, even right from the household issues to the great national and international issues. This Vyapara is very important, and here is a section which is meant to deal with such activities, and they are called Vaishyas. Vaishya means not the community, Vaishya community here. Vaishya here means Vyapari. And the last one, Shudras, who are generally insulted, which is very wrong, because now people understand the importance of their presence. What is that? Shudras are workers, labor community, and they are very, very important. 4 days when the servant maid doesn't come home, you will understand the importance of such category. Is it not? And now we are facing that. And people are ready to do anything because they cannot do anything. There are people who can't even lift a tumbler of in which they have taken a coffee. They won't even take it and wash it and bring it. They want somebody else to do it. This community, which physically toils, physically works to satisfy the needs of the other three, are called Shudras. Shudra is not a community to be belittled upon. They are the community who are doing this kind of physical work. That's it. Thus we find Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra. Now see, these 4 communities are required basically for the social harmony. This classification is made for the sake of the social harmony and social growth. But unfortunately, it has taken the shape of caste system, which is absolutely wrong. Therefore, these categories we must understand, respect, accommodate and accept. 4 categories. They are called Varnas. The other 4 are called is at the individual level for one's own harmony and peace, peaceful living, for one's own integrity, and this scheme is called Ashrama Dharma. First one was called Varna Vyavastha, second one is called Ashrama Vyavastha. And Ashrama Vyavastha also has got 4 categories. What are they? One is Brahmacharyam, Vanaprastha, Grihastha, Vanaprastha and Sannyasi. Brahmacharya, Grihastha, Vanaprastha and Sannyasi. These are the 4 stages of a person. The Brahmacharya ashrama is where one is a student. Student meaning what? One has to understand the very life itself. Let me put in a word. I am not away from the topic or the text. We are making a foundation so that we will be able to understand the texts better. Brahmacharya ashrama is an ashrama where one understands life, gains the knowledge from the Shastra. Earlier, the Gurukula system was there where the student has to go and live with the Guru for probably 12 years or 14 years, and well informed, he comes back to the next ashrama called Grihasthashrama. In the Grihasthashrama, he applies the knowledge what he has gained from the Guru in the practical field. When we say practical field, those knowledge gained is put in so that while he is functioning in the world outside, transacting with the world outside, living with a group of people together, he applies the knowledge in the field through what? Through the mind, of course. But the mind is well equipped. The mind is well informed. Such a mind which is well equipped, well informed, when it is applied in the field of activity, there is efficiency in functioning in the world. This efficiency cannot come without proper understanding, proper knowledge. The understanding, the knowledge is gained when he is in the Brahmacharya ashrama, and when it is applied, you will find that the same person who is working in the world outside, with the knowledge, the application of the knowledge becomes more efficient, so that the efficiency will bring proficiency in his own field of activity. And proficiency will obviously gain the required result. Think. Any field of activity I want to work in, that field I must first understand. When I understand, with the knowledge, when I apply myself, I am able to achieve the result, because I know technically, I know how to gain that result. Without knowledge, nobody can gain the appropriate result. Therefore, Grihastha is a place where he can apply. 1. 2. While transacting with the world outside, with the knowledge gained, no doubt, one is able to hold on carefully his very movement of the mind. Now see, a mind which was with the Guru for few years, which is being well trained by the Guru, and who has gained the knowledge, who is able to see the goal, and when he is applying himself in that, the mind will not rebel, the mind will not retaliate, but the mind will respond to the situations, and having thus responding to the situation, the mind will be able to retain its poise, retain its quietude. And when the mind is quiet, the same mind will be more equipped, the mind will be more efficient in functioning in the world of, in the field of activity. Gurudev, Swami Chinmayanji would say, quieter the mind, sharper the intellect. When the mind is thus quietened with knowledge, the mind, the intellect becomes sharper, and the sharp intellect is able to function efficiently in the field of activity. And such an intellect which is able to function in the field of activity with appropriateness in its field, such a person will and must be a successful person in that very field of activity. Think. When there is efficiency in me, the proficiency will find its destination. Gurudev, as I often quote, would say, efficiency is the capacity to bring proficiency into expression. I repeat, efficiency is the capacity to bring proficiency into expression. Now please go back and think. Proficiency is gained through appropriate, proper knowledge. And that knowledge is gained from the Guru during the studentship, Brahmacharya Ashrama. Having gained proficiency, when I apply that proficiency in the field of activity, keeping my mind calm, having a sharper intellect, I can definitely succeed in any field. Think. A restless mind can never be successful. A mind that which is quietened through knowledge is definitely a successful mind which cannot but succeed in any field of activity. And the field here is the Grihastha. All of you know very well. In Grihastha, every minute, nay, every second is an examination. Life's examination. Think. Every moment when I am transacting with the world outside, how do I present myself? Think. How do I present myself? The presentation of myself in the field will talk volumes on what I am within. Think. How do I integrate myself? How do I integrate the family? How do I integrate the society, the community, the nation? Will speak volumes of what I have learned in my studentship, during my studenthood. This field, Grihastha, is given to us to experiment ourselves in the field, and while I am in the field, how am I tossed about? How am I kicked with all the transactions, and how do I take them with total quietude? Accept them. Agate swagatam. And what is the understanding there? Now please note. While I say agate swagatam, I also have the clear understanding agama apayinaha anityaha. Everything comes and everything goes. Nothing is permanent. If I understand this truth of life, I will find that I don't get stuck with one thing, another thing, one person, another person, one place, another place. I don't have a hang on to it. I don't have a dependency on it, but I wait, I work, the same time, I remain unaffected by whatever happens. Where did I get this efficiency from? From Brahmacharya Ashrama. And in Grihastha while I am living, while I am tossed, while I am kicked, I gain the maturity to live. This maturity comes from two. One, the knowledge gained, and the two, the experiences gained in the Grihastha. And then I graduate myself to the third ashrama called Vanaprastha. What is Vanaprastha? Very interesting. Vanaprastha ashrama is an ashrama where I exercise complete withdrawal. In the modern days, they call it as retirement. Why is retirement given? Because a person is already tired. Vanaprastha is not for tired people. Please be very attentive. Vanaprastha is not for tired people, but for people who are matured. Think. Such a person, he may leave the house or he may be in the house. For him, house doesn't make any difference because he is withdrawn, he moves inwards and he remains unaffected by whatever happens. This is the true meaning of Vanaprastha. This is supposed to be the true meaning of retirement. But in fact, what we see is retired people have become more restless. Yes or no? Retired people are more restless. Many people have told me, Swamiji, another 2 months. I said, what happened? After 2 months, I am going to get retired, Swamiji, and after retirement, I am going to be in front of you in all the time. I will be with you. I will always serve you. I will do that. I will do this. Until date, not a single person has come. We are still waiting. Think. Why? Busy. They are so busy that they have so much of work to do. They have so much of pressure, both blood pressure as well as family pressure. Pressure only. And you will find they are so restless. That is not for what retirement is given. Vanaprastha ashrama is an ashrama where I withdraw myself. And having withdrawn, what should I do? I must apply myself. I must engage myself in more activities of upasana. Instead of, there are so many people at homes, most of you will know, because you are all experiencing that. Many people will want to poke their nose into everything which is happening. They want to be consulted for every single activity at home. They want to be involved, kept informed. They want the people to involve them into the main activities of the family. That is not for which retirement is given. Vanaprastha ashrama is when whatever activities I am already involved in, I am supposed to withdraw. I am supposed to leave them for the next generation to do. We have done enough. We have to leave it to the next generation, withdraw ourselves and engage in more of upasana. So that I quieten my mind, I withdraw my mind, I apply my mind into one field of activity of upasana and thereby gain the complete control of my mind, not required to do anything with the world outside. And this mind, which is thus withdrawn, graduates to the next, the final ashrama called Sannyasa Ashrama, which is meant for living the knowledge. Living the knowledge meaning what? Living the life of complete renunciation. Renunciation of what? Renunciation of the identity with the body, identity with the mind, identity with the intellect. Renounce all of them and remain in the experience of the very subject. The very subject matter of the Shastras and the very subject in me remain in my own life, in my own self. We will find in the last shloka of this very story, in the text here, the last shloka says, remain. Nothing to do, nothing to gain, nothing to achieve, nothing to go, nowhere to go. Remain. Remain in your own true nature. Atmana sthiyatam. Sthiyatam meaning remain. In what? In my own true nature. This is the fourth stage of life. Now, having said that, this is a beautiful set, this is a beautiful scheme given by the Shastras, the Vedas, and to reach this particular final destination, one has to go through certain proper stages. And these stages you will find will give us success both in this spiritual field as well as the material field, which we will see when we take up one after the other. And along with this, there is another very important two set of things which we have to understand before we actually enter into the text proper. One is called Samanya Dharma and the second one is called Vishesha Dharma. When it comes to Samanya Dharma, and what is Samanya Dharma? Common disciplines. The moment we say discipline, people don't really like the word. Therefore, I am sure, in case people who are sitting in front, who are viewing this particular talk, if you don't like the word discipline, and maybe some of you might get up and go also. But the fact is, discipline is a very, very important factor. Our Swamiji used to say, if you don't like the word discipline, you may use it as management. Because management is a very oft-quoted word, well-used word. So we may say universal management science. Among the common disciplines, Samanya Dharma, there are always, again this is a topic which not many people would like it as such, but it is nice to know sometimes. One is called the do's and the other one is called don't. Do's and don'ts is what we often say. And in the Vedanta Shastra, it is called as Niyama for the do's and Yama for the don'ts. Yamaha and Niyamaha. There are these two very important common disciplines. We will just go through that to begin with. We will just go through this in a short form and then we will proceed. One is this Yamaha don'ts are called Nivritti Rupaha. What is Nivritti Rupaha? That which has to be avoided. Don'ts, when we say, that which has to be avoided. And the Niyama are called Pravritti Rupaha, which is to be done, which ought to be done. These two are very important points which will make our life beautiful when we follow. Now please note here, whenever this topic called do's and don'ts come, people find a little uncomfortable. Because everybody thinks, I want to be free. I don't want all these rules and regulations. Because I want to be free. I must have the capacity to do whatever I want. Why should I follow all these rules and regulations? But you know, the rules and regulations are not to tie me down, are not to stop me from, are not to, bring a limitation into myself, but they are certain beautiful topics with which they make us a beautiful person, a wonderful person, whom the whole world will appreciate. And why not only appreciate, they will even follow. We will become a role model in the society, which the society will enjoy following. So once I understand these rules and regulations, I become a worthy personality, a role model. And you will find there are so many people who can gain benefit and they can also, apply themselves in following. Now what are they? There are 5 important do's and 5 important don'ts. First we will see the other way. First we will see the don't. Because later when you say you do this, you might find it interesting. So Yamaha, the avoidance, and Niyamaha, that which you ought to perform. In the avoidance part of it, Yamaha, the 5 important aspects are Ahimsa, Satyam, Asteyam, Brahmacharyam and Aparigraha. The 5 we will explain in the shortest form possible. And in these 5, what we are supposed to see, Ahimsa is non-violence by thought, word and deed. Now please note, these are all Samanya Dharma which is required for us to follow, gain the maturity and the readiness for application. Now see, Ahimsa, first one, non-violence. What did I say? I said that which has to be avoided. Yamaha, that which has to be avoided. Non-violence is what? Where we have to avoid violence. So, avoiding violence is Ahimsa. Violence by thought, word and deed. What do I mean by violence here? Violence does not mean I take a knife or this one and then fight. No. Thought. What is a thought? Even in the thought level, I avoid hurting others. This is a very big discipline. It's a very big task which we have to follow. Sat asatyam. Now what is satyam here? Satyam is avoidance of speaking or performing that which is untrue. Satyam, avoiding that which is not true. Speaking truth, there is nothing called avoidance, there is nothing called performance. Speaking truth is just being truthful, being as it is. But asatyam is not being truthful, which has to be avoided. Therefore, satyam. Asteyam. Asteyam is what? Do not possess. Do not accumulate. Do not acquire that which is illegitimate. That which is not mine. Asteyam. In another direct word, don't steal. What is not stealing? Not stealing is not acquiring or possessing that which does not belong to me. Asteyam. Brahmacharyam. Brahmacharyam is, in a very simple form, self-control. My Acharya, Swami Chidananji, very beautifully would say, what is self-control? Self-control, many people don't like to, hear that word, because self-control means time down. That's what they think. It is not so. What is self-control? Self-control is moderation in everything, including moderation. Meaning what? I apply myself with utter conscious, alert, vigilant, conscious. I apply myself in the world with absolute knowledge of this much and no further, in any field of activity. This self-restraint, physically, emotionally, intellectually, this restraint in me, with not out of force or something, but self-restraint voluntarily, is brahmacharyam. And the fifth one is aparigraha. What is aparigraha? Not acquiring wealth or anything even though it is legal. The first one is illegal wealth should not be collected. Asteyam. Here, one step ahead. Even legally, more than required, one must not possess. It is interesting to know that we gain so much from the society, but here aparigraha refers to not even gaining more than what is required, is also called stealing, in a manner of saying. Therefore, don't acquire, don't possess, even though you are capable of, even though it is legal, give it back to the society. This giving back to the society, whatever is with me beyond my requirement, is a great quality. This quality is well put into exercise now, especially during this corona period. How many of us are voluntarily giving us for Loka Seva is a question. In fact, more precisely, remaining at home is a Dodda Seva, big Seva. Think. Meaning what? Not acquiring, not possessing, but giving back to the society. Give it for the good of all. This ability of not holding or hoarding too much is called aparigraha. And these are all, again, to be very clear, social dharma. And then we have another set of things, what I said, Niyamaha, what we are supposed to do. First one is Shaucham. I will just enlist the 5 and then we'll go into it. Shaucham, Santoshaha, Tapas, Swadhyaya and Ishvara Pranidhanam. 5 are there. We'll go through them. Purity. So, Shaucham is what? Purity. Purity with reference to Sharirika, Manasika, Bauddhika Shaucham. Sharira must be kept clean. Why Sharira must be kept clean? For the simple reason, I have to be healthy. Now please note, without the health in my physical body, I cannot achieve anything in the world outside. Now please note, we are talking about the basic requirements. Even to enter the text, we require these. Think. Physical cleanliness and then Manasika Shaucham. What is Manasika Shaucham? Clarity in thought, cleanliness even in thinking level, meaning I must have purity in my thought. In fact, it takes a lot to come to that level. Physical Shaucham, it is not a very big issue. It is possible. Go take bath and come there clean. It is so easy, physical Shaucham. But even in physical Shaucham, to eat proper food, to eat food which will give me the strength within, which will not instigate me to do wrong things outside. Those food niyamas are also there. That's a very big topic which I am not going to go in. But the idea here is, physically I must be clean. When I say body must be healthy. This being healthy is purity at the physical level. At the emotional level, we find there is a lot to be done. Because mind, for what it is, will want to gain anything and everything for the sake of being happy. The idea is to be happy. But the sense there is, if I get this, I will be happy. If I get that, I will be happy. If I don't get it, I will be better. If I don't see that person, it will be good. Like that, the mind is filled with so much of dirt. What is said here in the name of Shaucham is this mental Shaucham. What is mental Shaucham? Mental Shaucham is remaining calm without raga dvesha. Very big issue. Think. Because the moment we say this, there are so many thoughts again coming in that moment. How is it possible? Without raga and dvesha, it is not possible to live in this life. Life is like that only. No. When Shastras talk of such raga dvesha, without raga dvesha, it is possible. One can definitely live a life without raga and dvesha. This ability to live without raga dvesha is gained during studentship. Think. In the Brahmacharya ashrama, this ability to think properly and gain the maturity at the mental level to remain without raga dvesha is gained. And the grihastha is the field where I apply that knowledge. Very, very difficult. To remain without likes and dislike is not everybody's cup of tea. But it is possible. Please note, when we say it is difficult, We don't say it is impossible. They are two different things. Difficult is a different thing, impossible is another thing. It is possible to remain, therefore, a mind which is equipped to balance itself between raga and dvesha and remain without getting affected by them is a healthy mind. Shaucham. Intellectually, Shaucham is by gaining the required knowledge alone and not interfering with anything else that which is unimportant in my life. A decision to be made that this is what I have to learn and the rest of the world is not required. Thus, Sharirika, Manasika, Bauddhika, Shaucham, cleanliness. The second one is Santoshaha, a very, very, very wonderful point. What is Santoshaha? Santoshaha is a sense of happiness born out of contentment. This is a very, being contented is very, very, very difficult. Because whatever we want to achieve, once we gain, I want more, I want more, I want more and more. What are we going to gain? Where are we going to take it? We came empty-handed, we go empty-handed. So what is the point in keeping all of them? Acquiring. Therefore, Santoshaha is a person who is so contented with or without anything in this life. The more we acquire, the more we possess, the more we suffer. Therefore, be happy with whatever you have. Be contented. Acharya Shankara says, Mudhajahi dhanagama trishna. Shloka you must have heard. Hey Mudha, dhana agama trishnam jahihi. Give up all that. Because they will not come with you along. They never came with you, and when you go, they will not come along with you. They all are those who supply free the amount of disturbance in your mind. Therefore, Santosha meaning be contented, be happy. Third one is tapas. What is this tapas? Tapascharya does not mean that you go to some forest or some Himalayas or some places, stand in one leg with both the hands folded up, or block your nose or stand upside down. No. Tapas is very, very, you have to understand this very clearly. Tapas is willfully denying. Please note, willfully denying that which is not required. Willfully denying anything and everything which is not required for my being happy. Now think, is there anything which will give me happiness? Anything that gives me happiness will also give me sorrow. How? We will see it in the text. While we are dealing with it in the text, you will find the tremendous amount of excellent points which will give us the knowledge of this more clearly. Self-denial willfully of that which is not required is tapascharya. Then the next one, fourth one is swadhyayam. Swadhyaya. What is swadhyaya? Self-study. Swadhyaya. What is self-study? Self-study of scriptures as far as the spiritual learning is concerned, and as far as the material learning is concerned, self-study is gaining or equipping myself to face the challenges of life. Swadhyaya. And the last one is very important. What is that? Ishvara Pranidhanam. What is Ishvara Pranidhanam? Worship of the Lord. Simple. Worship of the Lord is Ishvara Pranidhanam. Here one applies oneself towards being with Bhagavan alone. When I say alone, I don't say lonely. Lonely is royal dependency on external factors. Being alone is a choice with which I learn to remain with my own self. You know, if we cannot live with our own self, Gurudev used to say, if you cannot be happy with yourself, why inflict it on others? Meaning what? If I can be happy myself, why distribute the unhappiness to others? Learn to be happy within. Learn to be happy alone. This being alone, the practice of being alone is very important. And here, worship, when it is said, be alone with the Lord within you. And along with that, perform certain actions outside which will again keep you with the Lord. Ishvara Pranidhanam. These are called Samanya Dharma. Then we have what is called as Vishesha Dharma, which we will see tomorrow and enter into the text. Before we actually enter into the text, I would like to inform you that the text is available. In case you are with the WhatsApp, with our WhatsApp number, you would have got it. Otherwise, we will upload the text in the Facebook tonight, and it would be a better thing that you have the text in front of you. Therefore, you may please take a print of that text and keep it with you, so that when we read the text and when we are explaining the text, it is easier for you to understand. Therefore, keep the text in front of you tomorrow at 4 o'clock. We will again meet tomorrow and continue our discussion. While tomorrow, when we are discussing, it would be appreciable that you have one paper and pen with you. Write down certain points which will help you when you refer later. With this, we conclude today. We will meet tomorrow. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.